Well, good evening, everybody. It's the Cryptid Huntress. I'm Jessica Jones. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. Gosh, do we have a fantastic show lined up for you guys tonight. I have two of my very good friends in here tonight. Actually, some of my teammates, y'all. We've got Ed Peters and David Pardue here. We had Ed hop on the last minute. That's why I'm not going to blame him for me being late because I was already running late. Okay. But I was so excited to see him. Along here with David Pardue. You guys will remember they hopped on last week for our first ever boots on the ground live from the field segment here on the show. And they were actually up at Uwharrie National Forest. And we've got some stuff to talk about regarding that, because right before that happened, David Pardue got zapped, y'all. And they ended up having to leave quickly out of there as soon as the show was over. We're going to hear all about it tonight. It was wild. And so y'all buckle up. We got a lot to talk about with that tonight and more. I hope everybody is staying warm. All over the South, I know it's mostly like half the country right now is being affected by this cold weather and the freezing rain and stuff. So including myself. And our family, and it has not gotten super cold yet, but tonight in Georgia, it is going to be freezing. And so I hope everybody is safe. Hope you got a propane heater. You got some kind of alternative heating source in case the power goes out. But listen, y'all, we always try to strive for the best and always keep your vibrational frequency high. And I know, just try not to, just take care of yourselves, y'all. Take care of yourselves. But you know what my mom went and bought today? She let me know that she went and got some Vienna sausages. So, anyways, it's giving my mom a shout out, y'all. Just give my mom a shout out. And she's in the chat tonight, I'm sure. And I thought that was great. I don't know if she got those because she just felt like she needed to get them for survival, or she got them because I talk about them all the time. Okay, could be either. Who knows? But anyways, okay, so y'all just please stay safe out there. Always check in with us. Let us know you're okay. Put it down in the comments. Let's all keep in touch. I will be back here on Monday. Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, right? Is that what they say? Hopefully, and we'll be back live on Monday, and hopefully it will not be frozen. We won't be frozen on Monday. Okay, y'all. But hey, at least we're not out in the field doing Bigfoot research tonight. That's all I can say. I'm glad I'm home. I'm glad I'm warm at the moment. And I do have a heater, a propane heater, just in case. Okay, so if you guys would like to follow along with all of my shows and stuff, and you want to go check out the Cryptid Huntress, go over to my website, y'all. It's thecryptidhuntress.com. You can find all of my shows. And you can find my calendar of events. Y'all know I had Greg Ogles on the show Thursday night. That was fun. And he is actually throwing the Vanished movie documentary premiere. It's going to be next Saturday, a week from today, over in Gardendale, Alabama. I will be there. I'm giving a presentation. I just found out today I'm speaking at 12 o'clock noon, Alabama time. That's 1 o'clock Georgia time. But I'll be giving a short presentation, under an hour, over there. So y'all come see me and go watch that movie premiere. I am featured in it. And for a short, I thought it was like a short vignette, but it turns out it may be a little more than that, according to what he said. But anyways, y'all come see us. It's going to be a Paracon as well. And that's my next event coming up. Okay. But it's all on my calendar. And of course, I do have a Patreon and a shop over on Etsy is called War Woman Goods. And thank you guys for all your support. It means the world to me. All right, y'all. Let's get to our show. Because I got two boots on the ground field researchers with a lot of experience under their belts here in the studio tonight. All right. So on this episode, we have David Pardue and Ed Peters here to discuss their encounters with various creepy humanoid creatures in the National Forests of North Carolina. We're going to talk a little bit about Uwharrie tonight, and you're familiar with that. So we're going to be talking about things from any kind of humanoid creatures they've encountered, from Bigfoots with glowing colored eyes to mantid ETs, feline humanoids. All right, we just did a show with Robbie Rains where we talked about, and Edie Testerman, talking about the feline humanoids in Missouri. David has a picture of one at Uwharrie, I believe, and we're going to show y'all that picture tonight. We're going to talk about the reptilian humanoid. You'll remember that David has actually had some pictures of a reptilian in his backyard, actually. We talked about that on a previous show. Also, little people, pale crawlers, and a recent track that they discovered that looked like a hoof mark out at Uwharrie. Now, could it have been a horse? Yes, but I don't think it was. Could it be a goat man? I don't know. We're going to talk about it tonight. I was trying to pull the picture up and it wouldn't load, so we're going to have to look at that later. But David had his first Bigfoot experience at the age of 16 on his aunt's farm, and this sparked a deep interest in understanding just what the 6-foot-tall bipedal creature that he watched run across a tobacco field that left 14-inch tracks behind was. It led him to research the subject in depth, and finally, after years of his own private research, he joined the BFRO in 2006 as a field investigator. He joined Carolina Bigfoot Field Research, CBFR, in 2014, and in 2018, he founded the Carolina Cryptid Field Research team with the help of our friend Terry Windell, who is now of Rock Hill Bigfoot in South Carolina. And by the way, Mr. Ed Peters, who is here tonight, they conduct field research all over the South and mostly in North Carolina. But you guys are going to get a good dose of some of that research tonight. You guys can find them over on, Carolina Cryptid Field Research on YouTube and Facebook. And of course, we have a new team. We're calling it TADSA. We'll talk about that tonight as well. And you guys, please help me welcome to the show our good friend, Mr. David Pardue. What's up, David?
Hey, Jessica.
Hey, thank you for being here. Thank you. And also Ed Peters. Hey, Ed.
Hello. Dave, what's going on?
Trying to stay warm.
Man, it's so good to see y'all. Thank y'all so much for coming on with us last week. And y'all were out in the field. We couldn't see your faces hardly because it was so dark. But thank y'all for coming on and doing a boots on the ground, our first ever boots on the ground segment on the channel. Y'all are awesome.
It was dark and chilly out there.
It was. It was. I wanted to hear about that because I heard David, you told me you got kind of sick. You got zapped. You didn't tell us during the show that you had gotten zapped. I don't recall.
No, I kept that part hidden. We were just sitting at our base camp and I'd heard a big limb snap off to our left. And we're just sitting around the fire. Ed was looking on his phone or talking to somebody. I can't remember what was going on, but I just kind of got up and walked away from the fire. I waited about 5 minutes and I just kind of got up and moseyed over to the edge of our camp to the wood line and kind of scanned the whole area with my thermal. I didn't see anything, but I knew I heard the snap. It was a big, big snap. And I walked back over to the camp, and just as soon as I sat back down, I told Ed, I said, I don't feel good. I said, something's wrong. And I said, I'm going to get up and I'm diabetic. I said, I'm going to get up and check my blood sugar. I never made it. I had to make a quick line to the nearest tree and puke my guts up for a while. And I thought I was better. Ed got me some water and, do all the things you do when you got sick. I didn't have a fever. I didn't have anything, and it was come on sudden. It wasn't something I eat. Me and Ed had basically had the same diet. We eat the same food, so it wasn't food related. And I had this weird feeling that something was wrong. And so we went back to camp. I kind of got myself together. We were getting ready to come on your show live. So I was trying to pull myself together and be presentable to come on Jessica's show. And the feeling never went away. I hid it the whole time we were talking. And when we got off the show, I told Ed, I said, I don't think I'm going to make it. But as soon as we left base, we packed up everything real quick. And as soon as we left base camp, I was fine. As soon as I got away from that area, I was fine. I was still, didn't feel good because of, throwing everything I had up, and it was instant. It would just come straight up. And I had never had that happen to me in a field by getting zapped. A lot of my friends have, and other fellow researchers have gotten sick, but nothing like that. And we had some weird stuff going on with some eye shine. We sent you some pictures. You may still have those. But it was pitch dark out there. The camera on my phone actually lightens the sky, but it was actually pitch black. And that was right there, real close to where the night before that we had seen the same type of eye shine. And so during the daytime, we made a trip down in that direction where we had seen the eye shine the night before, and trying to locate any kind of light source that may have been producing those lights. And we didn't find anything, did we, Ed?
No, we hiked down the trail for a while. We hiked down the road to see if there were any street lights. We couldn't find any street lights. We didn't see, we found a house, but the house was not in the same line of sight that we were looking at. So we tried real hard to just to prove that it was, man-made light of some sort, and we couldn't find anything.
Well, David, it's not like you to get sick and to pack up your stuff and leave anywhere. I've known you for a long time, and that's not something you do. Now, Ed, I wanted to ask you, what did you experience anything like that? And what are your thoughts of like everything that went down when David got sick?
I was sitting on a conference call helping manage a problem at work. And, I saw David go up to the edge of the campsite, and he was out there looking into the woods, and he came back, sat down, and the next thing you know, he's burping so loud. It was a low, deep, guttural burp. And he looked at me, he says, I'm going to check my blood sugar. I don't feel well. And I've been around him when he had his low blood sugar, and so I know what that looks like, and this was different because he had all this sudden burping going on, and then he went around the side of his tent, and I thought he was throwing up in the tent, but I come around and saw him, leaning over, gut wrenching, and it was loud. I'm sure everyone else in the next county heard him.
Oh no. Well, that actually, okay. So here's my thing. Like I've been hit with infrasound twice in one trip, one night, out in Alabama, and it was recent. It was back in, a few months ago. And I got really sick. I was vomiting. I mean, I got emotional. Harley Owens also got hit with infrasound right before I did. And we had a tree that got knocked over in our camp right as I was getting sick the second time. And it was violent. It was like a violent sick that I got. Now, David, y'all been doing this for a long time. David, you're a seasoned veteran of the Bigfoot community. Okay. And when I've heard about people getting hit with infrasound or getting zapped, I've never heard about people vomiting like I vomited and like you did too. And I'm wondering, like, what what do you know about people getting zapped? Like, what's the history behind that? And is this something that's kind of new? Because I'm hearing this more and more that people like are having the same experiences that you and I have recently.
Yeah, I've been zapped over the years, probably less than 10 times. But it's never been, I've never gotten sick. Other people within the group that I was with have thrown up. They've done other bodily functions that we won't talk about, but
things want to come out of all ends,
it,
y'all. I hate to
makes
say
your
that.
body,
Yeah.
you involuntary control of your body, either throwing up, messing yourself.
Yeah.
It's a whole gauntlet of things. I mean, I've been in, some of the guys in the team one time, they actually jumped one. I was in another part of the forest when it happened, but they actually jumped one in the daytime. It took off running, and the lead investigator just dropped to his knees and immediately started throwing up. And I think they use it as a defense, and it puts you off guard. It incapacitates you in some form, and everybody's body reacts to it differently, and how severely you get stuck. When I got up and walked away from camp last weekend, they were close. They had to be, and I was encroaching upon one, and it didn't feel safe, so it hit me, and it, the intended purpose got me out of there. And that's the first time, I believe that is the very first time that I bugged out. But I was feeling bad, and I didn't. As soon as we got a mile away from there, I was better, but not 100%. But
we tried to review why, because I was sitting right next to him, and I didn't feel anything. And so I says, well, how could they get you and not me? And I think the difference was, David got up and went to the edge of the campsite and was looking into the woods, and I was still sitting back at the campfire. And as soon as he got back and sat down is when he didn't feel right.
Yeah, and another thing that happened, I had a night vision camera that had been running all night, run the night before and run that night, and it was scrambled when I got home. None of that footage from that night was there. Everything was scrambled. And I told Ed, I was looking at my monitor and I said, look, it's scrambled. Something's wrong. And whatever happened, it wiped out every bit of my footage from that night. And it was pointed into the direction that I had walked to the edge of the wood line. So whatever was there would have been on camera too. So it's a pretty good camera system and a pretty clear picture, but I lost everything.
Well, that's kind of typical of us having activity out there. There was a night, the first time I ever went Bigfooting, it was actually like the second night of a full expedition I was on. I had a recorder with me, and JT and y'all know, I don't know, Ed may not know JT, but David, you might, I don't know, with ERG, we were out there, and I had a recording device on my knee. And I remember we were out there like all day and all night, and a place where I had, we had Bigfoot activity the night before, and I was sitting there with this recorder on my knee, and I didn't listen to this recording. We had a whole bunch of missing time and, UFOs and all sorts of weird stuff that happened that night. And when Lee, the head of my team, he came over to my apartment to listen to this recording with me because I was scared to listen to it by myself. I'd never even been Bigfooting before that weekend. Okay. And we listened to it, and sure enough, there was so much high strangeness in this recording. And we're talking about like bottle rockets going off all around, it sounded like bottle rockets were exploding around me and JT. And as soon as we finished listening to all this recording that I had from that night, it deleted by itself. It just straight up just deleted. It was gone. I didn't hit the wrong button. It just was gone. And so I got a taste of like how the electronics work out there pretty quickly. And so I guess that's why I don't record anything anymore. Like nobody's going to hear it anyways, probably. But that's interesting. Now there's been a lot of very famous Bigfoot encounters out there in this area. I know you guys are in North Carolina, and not to give the location away by any means. Okay. But there's a famous TV show that's been out there, and there's been some footage of like Bigfoots taking Zagnut bars and candy bars and stuff. And I don't know, is the activity, I was just out there with y'all too, and the activity was pretty intense out there. It can be intense, I'm sure. But has that affected the research that y'all are doing out there at all, having that TV show that came and recorded out there?
Oh yeah, greatly. It's the activity that happened in that campsite back in 2005 to 2000. I can't even remember when Mike Green's footage got aired and when Finding Bigfoot. I was there when it was filmed, some of it, but I think it was 2009, I believe. But within 2 weeks after that episode aired, it's crap. I don't even go there to that campsite anymore. There's other parts of the forest that I spend most of my time in. We may use it as a base camp, but Ed can tell you every time we do use it as a base camp, the place fills up with other Bigfooters, and they're doing stuff, and it just contaminates the whole area. We can't, you go out there and you find a rock stack, and this has happened to us. Is that a Bigfoot rock stack, or is that other Bigfooters trying to get them to interact with them? And they think they're the only ones out there, and they're not. There's 20 different teams that's going out there. And, if you hear a sound, I don't even pay attention to sounds much anymore, because is it somebody else out there, call blasting, or it just contaminates the whole area. So where I go at now, nobody knows. I've been going there since 2005, and probably the longest person that's been in Uwharrie Bigfooting that I know of. And when I went there, started going there was nobody there, nobody, no other Bigfooters whatsoever. It was kept secret into that show, and then ever since then, it's just. I mean, Ed found a peanut butter jar while we were out there. It's like.
Hey, I saw pork rinds out there last time we were there.
Yeah, pork rinds, eggs, But I took you to my spot, and is it an active spot?
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
I mean, you have to hike into these areas that they've been driven back. When you go into, like, people show up in that campsite, and Ed's witnessed it. And they'll start doing wood knocks or howls or all this other stuff they think draws a Bigfoot in, and it actually drives them away. It happens there every day of the week, and they think they're the first Bigfooters to show up there to try to draw a Bigfoot in. And Bigfoot's, if you know what you're looking for, Bigfoot's predictable. But if you don't know it, I mean, the Bigfoot know what that is, and there's those Bigfoot communicate a different way than wood knocks. I won't say how. I know it. Ed's witnessed it. I know them. And people are just driving them deeper and deeper and deeper, and they're not where everybody thinks they are.
Mm-hmm.
I'll leave it at that. I took you there. You got to see them. Ed got to see the eye shine for the very first time.
Yeah.
And it was not an artificial light. When Keith tried to move up and get a closer look, they moved away.
I know. Dang it, Keith. Keith's in bed. Listen, I wouldn't call Keith out if he wasn't asleep right now. He said he was going to bed tonight. He couldn't come on the show with us.
But
so, anyways.
Keith done it like everybody else would do. Let's get it closer.
Of course.
But
yeah, inquiring minds want to know.
That eye shine, all three sets moved further away from us. And Ed got to witness it for the very first time. You got to witness it there for the very first time. And I don't know if you've ever witnessed eye shine like that before.
I have definitely seen eye shine and eye glow like that before. Okay, I have, but that was pretty cool because it was actually closer than I've ever seen it before. And Ed had started that wonderful fire we had. And that's a great fire. I think I have a picture of it, actually. I want to thank Kent Baxter for that super sticker. Thank you, Kent. Hi, Jessica. Y'all stay warm over there. You stay warm too, Kent. Thank you for your support. I appreciate you. And let's see. I just had to take a picture of this fire, y'all. I just want the audience to see how amazing this fire was. It was awesome. I don't know if we should tell the secret behind that fire, but but that's a good fire. I'm just saying. And right, Keith and Ed were responsible for that one. But anyways, we had a really good time out there, and I actually have some really cool pictures that I took. This is when the eye shine started, the eye glow. I'm going to call it eye glow because it was like a self-illuminating eye glow. That wasn't eye shine, David, right?
No, that was eye glow.
That's the guy who's looking at it.
And I don't think it was the flesh and blood Bigfoot. It's this other stuff that's been showing up a lot more out there than Bigfoot. I actually get more of this type stuff now out there than actual Bigfoot. Now, what I encountered last weekend and got zapped, that was Bigfoot. But this other stuff, the eye shine we experienced last weekend was exactly the same as this. And that's where I'll let Ed talk about it, but where you see that eye shine at is almost exactly where we found the two beds and the hoof print. Ed's the one who discovered that.
Okay, well, I honestly had an existential crisis that night. Okay, because I'm looking at this. I've seen the self-illuminating eye glow on multiple occasions since I've been Bigfooting. Since, the mid, what was it, 2011, I started to do Bigfooting, right? And I've seen this, but I just assumed it's just all, Bigfoot. But of course, I'm of the mindset of like they're interdimensional beings. They have some way to like access natural portals and stuff. So like, I guess it lines up with the way I think, right? But when you were saying, I don't think they're 100% organic. Like who was that said they're an aper? Oh yeah, Greg Ogles told me on Thursday that he used to be an aper, and I thought that was a funny term, right? But an aper, that's a good term. They're not just apes, okay? And that's that eye glow backside of that. There's something more to them, and that eye glow would be an example of that, right?
Yeah. Well, what I think's happening, and this is what y'all two both experienced it there for the first time. You've got your flesh and blood Bigfoot, and all my times in the woods, no matter whether I'm here or in South Florida, I've never been able to identify 100% a body type with that type of eye glow. Now with Bigfoot, if you shine a flashlight in its eyes or a headlamp or a fire from your camp, their eyes will glow just like a deer or a dog or a cat. But I've never witnessed them self-illuminating their eyes like y'all witnessed. It's always been, an artificial light, whether it's from a fire or a flashlight that makes them illuminate. This other stuff that's showing up, and 2012 is when that first started showing up to me for the very first time. You can't get a heat signature on it. You can't even see the light with night vision camera. There's no body to it. It's like it's invisible to anything other than your eyes. And I've never been able to put a body type on it. What is it? But it has shown up in the same area that I took you to in the daytime. Ed's got to witness that, the feline type face, the other one with the long white face, real dark hair. That's what I think the eyes are glowing from.
I think this is the feline picture right here. I think. Is that the feline picture, Dave? David? Yeah, that's it. You can see it almost looks like a pit bull to me a little bit. Right there. It kind of looks like a pit bull. We just had a stray dog that showed up at the house. We've been taking care of him. I call him Buddy. Okay. Kind of looks like Buddy's face a little bit. He's more like a bird dog, maybe pit bull mix. I don't know, but that is very interesting. And here's another thing too. I wanted to tell the audience, okay, because we're going to show a couple of pictures tonight. And And the way that these pictures come out, these are from night vision cameras, thermal imaging cameras, FLIR. They're a little distorted, y'all. Okay. And so that's why, I'm not always showing a whole lot of pictures like that, because it can look very distorted. All right. But I'm sure some of y'all can see that face right there. Okay. And that's one of the things that we picked up. Now, David, you've actually picked up other pictures from the same area of like the little person. We did a whole show on the little alien that was looking at peeking out from behind the fork in the tree.
Yep. Ed actually got that photo. That was on a Nikon camera, wasn't it?
Yeah, we hiked in and we sat down and we just started taking pictures. I had the Nikon camera with a zoom lens, and we were just taking pictures. Just not that we saw anything. We just started snapping pictures of the entire area, and then you go back and review the pictures and find some images in them that you hadn't noticed when you were just sitting down. So that was in the same area where we had the fire, Jessica, where we saw the eye glow.
Man, I just got to say, okay, I wanted to make it clear to the audience. I did in the title of the show tonight, I said, cryptid vortex. And David was like, what is a cryptid vortex? Okay. That's my name for this. Okay. Because let me tell y'all, in this area where we were spending this time, where I've done research with these fellas, it is like a vortex. Dare I say portal? I don't know. It's like a vortex of so much activity. It is mind blowing. Okay. Mind blowing. And even despite the fact that, that TV show came out there and like, there's been some weird, some of the activity got pushed back a little ways. There's still a lot of activity out there, much like, even the meadow that we go to. David, you and I, I think I've done some research with you in North Georgia at times. And there's just these places that we go, y'all. And it's just like it's almost like the dimensions are overlapping, and there's just like all this activity, just like Skinwalker Ranch kind of. Okay. And so this is one of those places where David and Ed do a lot of their research. I had the privilege of joining y'all a couple weeks ago up there. And so I feel like it's like a vortex. Maybe there is a real vortex there. You know what I mean? There's something energetically going on there that is causing all this activity, I think. David, you've even sent pictures to me that look as though there's a mantid ET in some of the pictures as well.
Yeah, that's an entirely different area of the forest. And there again, I had thermal running. And I lost every bit of the files from that night. My phone died. It just completely died. And as soon as I got about a mile away from that location, my phone popped back up, full charge, everything working the way it's supposed to. And something else happened that night. I can't remember. My voice recorder didn't get anything that I had out. But that one, yeah, it's a tall mantis. That's the best way to describe it. And it was only about 40 foot from us. And it's just standing there observing us. It's watching us. And the only way we knew it was there, one of the other guys that was with me had a dog. And the dog freaked out and started alerting to it and staring at it. So I got my cameras out and started filming, and I got it. And then I started taking some still shots, but I couldn't tell exactly what it was when you're looking through that little small viewfinder. Only when I got home at 3 o'clock in the morning that day, because we didn't stay the night, I downloaded my night vision stuff, and it was first thing I seen. But one of the odd things about that photo and another one we just got on a game camera out there, there's a human face right below or next.
Yes, I saw that. Okay, so I was hanging out with Keith last weekend. Okay, and we were looking through some of those pictures together in person. We're trying to like kind of decipher like what we were looking at. There is clearly a face. I think Don said that it kind of looked like him. It did look like Don, but that's not Don.
No.
Okay. And I meant to upload that picture. I don't think I did. I have some pictures uploaded. I don't think I got that one, but I don't know. I can go through and look. I want to take a quick moment to say thank you to Colleen Ryder for that super sticker. Thank you, Colleen, for your support. I appreciate that so much. And let's see. Let me see. I may have that picture here, y'all.
Hey, Dave. Why don't you share the picture you have on? Is it on your desk in the frame?
Maybe that's not it. Hold on.
Oh, that's there he is. That's
this it?
when you were with me. That's when that's a biggie.
Okay.
Sticking his head through. That's actually a still frame from some video I took. I haven't even had time with the storm coming in. I haven't had time to work with this video at all and pull out other frames. But yeah, that was right there where we had our base camp at.
Oh yeah. I don't think I have the picture with the face in it, but it is clearly a face. It does look just like Dawn, which is very odd. It almost gives it a paranormal, supernatural aspect. Do you know what I mean? Because like, I'm not saying it's like a mimic or something like that, but it's a little odd. And I wanted to show this picture to the audience tonight too, because I love this. When we were hiking, we came across some root balls. And you guys will know, if you're familiar with root balls, that's where a tree falls down and the roots come up into the air. And so it makes it looks like a grave. And David, you were saying that people think these are Bigfoot graves, right?
Yeah, I've heard that 100 times.
Yeah.
They're actually weathered down root balls. And you'll get people that are scared to death to dig into them. I've heard all kind of stories. They use them Bigfoot uses them to hide behind, to ambush prey. But all it is a root ball that's weathered down. And if you dig into it, you'll find the remnants of a tree.
And crystals, quartz.
Yeah. Whatever rocks are there will wind up on top because the dirt weathers away and it just leaves the rocks. And me and Ed has seen 1,000 of them just like that.
Yeah, Ed, I think I was kind of taking some quartz from the area. I shouldn't do that, but yeah, we were. I feel like a fairy village or something. It was beautiful. Like at least one of those had a whole bunch of quartz sticking out of it, and that's something else that I noticed. And I talked with you about that, Ed. There's a lot of quartz in that area.
Yeah,
Do you guys think that there's like the quartz has something to do with the paranormal activity out there?
Lots of quartz laying all over the place. Rocks, small rocks. There's bright white. There's some rose-colored quartz, and it's all over the place. And quartz is supposed to have an energy about it.
It does. I wonder if it's like a conductor to open a portal or something. I don't know. What do y'all think?
Very possible.
Could be.
And the whole area, that's like where I took you. That's one of the better spots. And that's one of the, you see a lot of quartz. And it's like at a lot of places you go, you get a lot of cryptid activity in areas where there's a large concentration of quartz.
Yes. We have a question from Colleen. Why is there quartz crystals in the tree roots? Why would it just come up like that and there'd be like crystals? It's just like in the ground, right?
Yeah, that whole area, if you dig down into the soil itself, there's quartz everywhere. So when that tree falls, it pulls all the dirt and everything that's attached to the roots comes up into the air. And then over a period of 20 years, that root ball starts rotting and the dirt and soil gets washed away and it only leaves the rocks. They won't dissolve. So the rocks wind up on top. You find arrowheads there, spear points, but that's all that is.
Yeah, I see Kent quartz can store energy. And what I noticed looking through my thermal through the woods at night is that quartz does show as hot.
So it holds that heat then from the sun.
Yeah, it holds the energy.
Holds the energy. Yeah, I joke around about how I actually have quartz from our trip right here. Hold on, if I can feel it. Here it is. Patow, right here. Okay.
Yeah.
So I joke around about how I'm going to see a hologram of a dog man show up behind me. So I keep it behind me in case the dog man and the Bigfoot decide to show themselves during my show. Okay. Because you never know. I'm just saying. But yeah, it does hold energy, and that's something that's like very common with all the places I've investigated. There's usually a big vein of quartz going through that area.
Yeah, the area we used to go to down in Alabama, it has a big old vein of quartz running right through the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
Enough to draw a ghost in, anyway.
A ghost, just a ghost. Oh, Bigfoot Dwarf. What's up, Bigfoot Dwarf? Now, Bigfoot Dwarf is my buddy he lives in Los Angeles. He used to live in Oregon. And he's a Bigfooter out west. And he said, yep, claiming Bigfoot graves, but no body yet. Okay. What about the bodies? Like, I know people who have claimed to have actually shot one. Okay. And there have been bodies. I know this is a touchy subject, but have y'all ever heard of any bodies being found?
No, not me.
Not you, Ed? What about you, David?
One, our buddy Grumpy, Bob Wilson, told me about one, and I think it was Louisiana where somebody shot one. But
Yeah.
who knows?
Who knows? We did have not Tech. What was his name? Bugs. I think he was in Texas, and he called into the Art Bell show. Y'all remember Art Bell, Coast to Coast? And he had claimed that he had shot 2 Bigfoots, a female and a male. And so that was actually given to me as a remote viewing target. And I did a show on it a long time ago. And I've even had people like Fred Roll from Alaska came on the show. I believe they shot at some Bigfoots. And I don't know I don't know the details about that. But there's been historical records of people unaliving, as we say on YouTube, Bigfoots. But yeah, there's been no bodies or anything that we know of. And if there was a body, do you guys think that our government knows about Bigfoot? What do y'all think about that? Because I think it was Bob that told me, I want to say he said he was at Uwharrie. There were some like militaristic people there, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
government operatives.
Yeah, certain times of the year, Uwharrie National Forest, and it's a big place. Special forces from all branches come there to train. It's some desolate country. It's easily accessible to Fort Bragg. I mean, at certain times of year, you can see the C-130s coming over, dropping supplies, just all kind of stuff. Guys dropping out of helicopters. They use it as a training area, but it covers from all the way to Asheboro. It's a big area, but they do train in there. But specifically where we're at, I have never seen any in that part of the forest training. There are other parts of the forest that they specifically, I mean, we've run into them. We've spotted them with thermal or night vision, as they come up out of a spider hole and look at you, and you're looking at them, and then all of a sudden they're going to fail because they were noticed. But, I've run into them many, many, many times, but none in the area that I took you.
Okay, well, I've had at least one other friend that has had a zap around that area, around in North Carolina, let's just say. He got zapped a long time ago. I don't remember him getting sick, but I remember it was like talking about how there was an electrical charge kind of. And my question is, and this is kind of directed towards David. David, we were kind of talking about earlier, it's like the zaps that I know of used to be like a little electrical zap. Now, people that get zapped that I know of are getting violently ill. Do you think there's some kind of like radiation factor involved with these zaps? Or like, do you think that they could be all Bigfoot? Or do you think they're, directed energy weapons? Like, what's going on here? Why has it kind of changed, do you think?
Well, I know the person you're talking about got zapped there. I was there when he got zapped. And the way he got zapped, that's the way I've always been zapped. It's You know, the best way I could describe it's being at a rock concert and the bass coming off of a speaker and right in front of you, and you can feel it. You can feel the air move. Your body will react to that bass. Imagine that without any sound. That's the best way I can describe it. Every time I've ever been zapped, that's the way it was. I've never gotten sick. This is the very first time, and this was more intense than anything I've experienced in the past. And I've had some pretty hairy moments out there in the woods. And, you know, David doesn't leave the woods. I left the woods that night. I was in bad shape. Ed can tell you it was. I'm never like that. I mean, I don't even carry a gun to the woods. Every Bigfooter you know now has got a 9mm strapped to their side. If you see me, me and Ed both. We got a blade. We carry a camp knife. That's it. I'm not scared to go out there, but it's whatever happened that night. I had to go. It was not getting any better. I felt like I'm getting ready to throw my guts up again.
Yeah,
It didn't resolve itself until I left that area. As soon as I left the area, I started feeling better. The further I got away from our base camp, the better I felt. By the time I got home, I was fine. I actually called my girlfriend, and she had the whole house set up for a sick person when I got home. You know, bucket beside the bed, the whole 9 yards. I was fine, and I haven't been sick at all. Nothing. It was just, it hit me, and you know, I probably had that little weird. I've had it so much that I just ignore it a lot of times nowadays. I don't know. It's just it wigged me out big time.
Mm-hmm.
But it ain't the first time that I've heard of people getting sick. It's happened before in the past, and it's just everybody's body, and it depends on how bad they want you to get out of there too. They can hit you with different frequencies, and how they do it, I have no idea. I think it's all sound. They're able to produce sound just like an alligator or crocodile or elephant can do it. And, you know, that's one of the things with handlers of elephants. The same thing happens to them. The elephants put off that infrasound and they throw up. And our military, they've taken that knowledge and now they've turned it into a weapon, just like they do everything else.
Well,
That's what I was about to say. Go ahead, Ed.
You heard the reports out of the capture of Maduro in Venezuela, where some of the guards were saying that our troops went in, and all next thing you know, they were hit with the sound wave. They had bloody noses and they were throwing up, and that was just recently in the news.
Exactly. So I was wondering, because in my mind, when I got hit with that infrasound, and it was just like with you guys, like Keith was with me. I was with a whole bunch of guys, and Keith actually felt he went to go check my cooler to make sure my chicken sausages were fully cooked. Okay, like that's how bad it was, because I felt like I had food poisoning. But I was like, why am I crying? None of it made any sense. It was like Havana syndrome is what they call that. And from a directed energy weapon. Let's just be real, right?
My daughter the story about Dave getting zapped. She said, and I wondered out loud. I says, I was sitting right next to him. I don't know why I didn't feel anything. She said, well, Dad, you're a high vibration person. That stuff just bounced right off you.
Yeah. Well, it's directed too. Listen, I like to think I'm pretty high vibe for the most part myself, but it's like it's what it is. They direct it at you specifically, and what I've had this conversation with several of my friends who were even there with us that day, that night where I got hit, and I was getting hit multiple times over and over again. Okay. And we're wondering, like, what was, okay, here's my thought on this, is it could have been a Bigfoot wanting us to get away from there because there was a baby in the area or something, right? We were encroaching on their territory. Could be a dog man. They want us to get out of there. We're encroaching on their territory. Or could it be a cryptid handler of some sort, or someone who was actually trying to protect us because we were about to get attacked by one of those things? Okay, I don't know.
When he went to the edge of the campground, he got a little too close to that snack he left in the woods for that Bigfoot, and He was protecting his snack.
Yes. David's a whole snack out there. They're going to get David as a snack.
Yeah. I've been
Yeah.
leaving the same snack for them for, I don't even know how long. You know, it's been almost 20 years I've been going to this location, and I've always just, you know, just about that whole time I leave them the same snack, and they usually get it within 45 minutes of me putting it there. But you know, I don't interact with them as much as I used to. I was there every weekend. Me and Ed's been 3 times this month. So, but I think, yeah, I got between it and what it wanted, and it hit me. And Ed was not a threat. Ed was not close. Ed's on his conference call. David's getting sick. So I was
Oh
the
my
threat.
gosh.
And, you know, there was a time they didn't bother me like that. I've never been zapped, and that's the first time I've ever been zapped in Uwharrie. But I'm dealing with a whole new generation. You know, the ones that I first started dealing with, a lot of those I've not seen any sign of them, and they were like my family. I know that's hard to say for a cryptid out there, but I treated them like a family. There was a respect between us, and I wasn't afraid of them. When I first started going there, I had a really, really bad experience in West Virginia, but we learned to trust each other. I knew what they were going to do before they done it, and they knew what I was going to do before I done it. And Mike Green got his footage of the Zagnot candy bar wrapper. You know, when he got that footage, you know, very few people know this, but the very first night, I told Mike Green, he had never experienced a Bigfoot. The only thing he'd ever heard was a wood knock off in the distance. And I told him, I said, "You really want to experience Bigfoot?" And he said, "Yes." And I was able to tell him exactly where it would come from, what time it would come. And the very first night, that specific night, that I actually told him what would happen, one come up and pushed his tent in.
Push
And
his tent in.
yeah, it took him 2 more years to get it on thermal, but Mike Green's footage he calls the squeaky footage. I can vouch for that. That's not. I have nothing to do with that video other than I've seen it, and I actually took you to the spot where it was filmed. I know everything about it. That was 100% the adult in that group at that time frame. He's no longer there.
That was legit footage. And let me take a quick commercial break. Thank you, Amiriel, for that super sticker so much. Yes, we're staying warm. Thank you so much for that. And also Bobby Singleton, thank you for gifting all those memberships to the Hunt Club. You're the best, man. I appreciate y'all so much. And also, wait, we got a couple more. Long Island Bigfoot Mike. This is y'all. I've been on Bigfooting with him up at Long Island, New York, in Montauk. We had a blast. Thank you, Long Island Bigfoot LIB Mike. He's been a member of the Hunt Club for, what is that, 20 months? Gosh, man, that's amazing. Thank you. And Skip, Dusty Vinyl Band, thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate you being here. Y'all are so sweet, man. I appreciate y'all. Okay, I wanted to just talk a little bit about, because you said you're talking about the generations of Bigfoots out there, David. Now, you have watched as, what's his name? One of the children, is it Michael? I want to say Michael. That's not the right name, probably. You've watched like the Bigfoots grow from children into adults.
Matthew.
I'm so sorry, I got his name wrong.
Yeah.
I was thinking of, yes, I should have thought of Matthew Delph. I would have gotten it right. But Matthew, and you've watched, I mean, I've seen your pictures where there's like a little Bigfoot and then he grows into a full-size adult out there in that same area. Now we're talking about generations of Bigfoots out there. Yeah. The age-old question is like, how long do they live? How old do they get? Gary Spikes Sr. was on the show last weekend when you guys hopped on. He said that he has a Bigfoot that has known his family for generations, for at least 300 years. Okay. How long do you guys think that these Bigfoots live? First of all, that's the first question. Second of all, is there a chance that these Bigfoots have been hybridized with maybe ETs?
That part, yeah, I believe, because of what I've been seeing recently, that the actual Bigfoot activity has backed way off. It's almost like something else has come in and drove the Bigfoot away besides humans.
Oh,
I think the Bigfoot are just as scared of this other stuff, or they're spooked by it just like they are of humans. You know, are they there? This other stuff researching us and Bigfoot? Do you know what I'm saying? It's I think I know they're of a higher intelligence and a higher, they're able to do things we have no understanding of. I have it on film, but some of that stuff is, you know, we had Bigfoot activity on the V tree footage of the little reptilian dudes that were 30 inches tall. You know, we had rocks thrown at us just prior to getting those guys showing up. So there was Bigfoot activity around us, just like there's always been, and then that stopped. And you know, I got the little short guys, the little reptilian dude. You know, did the Bigfoot stop interacting with us because these other guys showed up? You know, and are they doing something to the Squatches?
ooh. I don't know, Ed. Have you ever had experience, Ed, with any kind of ETs or anything? Like I don't know your full background with the cryptids yet. Okay, what have you experienced? Have you ever come across any kind of ET creatures out there?
I haven't really come across anything like that. Yeah. The closest I got was, you know, you talked about Lee and JT. I watched Lee put JT in a hypnotic remote viewing session, and they were communicating with a UFO hovering above us in Uwharrie, and the UFO, there was four individuals, and there was three of one race and one of a different race, and the one was in charge, and they were communicating with a Bigfoot down in Uwharrie. It was a female Bigfoot down by the creek.
That shows me that you are an OG, Ed. Okay, because that was a long time ago. So I can appreciate that, man. Yes, you've been in it longer than I have then, apparently, because I think they did that before I even met them. And so that's amazing. Yeah, you know, that's the thing. Like my audience knows full and well that I do these remote viewing targets. And I'm part of my original team with those guys. We're all trained in remote viewing, and we do those kind of things when we're out in the field. Sometimes we do touch and go targets, and you know, if something happens, we hear a scream or something, we're able to drop down into like HRV sessions and do remote viewing right there on the spot. And I don't know, is this the same place? Did they tell you this is a place where there was like a tree stump and there was some kind of, I want to say like a motherboard of some sort where the Bigfoots were going and working for the ETs and hitting the buttons?
No,
is this the same place?
I don't remember buttons.
Okay, different place then. Well, there's
the female Bigfoot. They said she seemed very nervous about where she was.
Oh,
if I'm not mistaken, that was in the same area where I got the footage of the V tree.
It is exactly.
Is it not?
Yes.
Yeah, I wasn't there, but I know the story, and that's within 100 yards.
The V tree is where you guys have seen when David came on the show, and everybody saw it's like a little alien peeking out through the fork in the tree, back and forth. Yeah. So that's that. Oh my gosh, I love this, y'all. We have a question in the chat from Keiju Ninja, age 85. Has David or Ed recorded the infrasound on audio? That's a good question. Have y'all recorded infrasound or any kind of weird stuff on audio?
Not yet. Matt Hooper, he's another one of our teammates, and he's our sound guy. He's actually experimented with it and created it, and he's took other people's videos and worked on them for them. When they were experiencing getting zapped, he's actually picked that up in his software. So it can be done. It does show up in the visual spectrum. You can pick it up if you know what you're looking for. I've never done it. Matt has. If Matt was in the chat, he said he would be in their chat. So if Matt's in there, he maybe be able to chime in. And yeah, I think I see him there. Matt's in here. He can probably.
Matt Hooper, y'all. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm way behind on the chat because we have a big crowd tonight. So, and the chat's moving really fast.
but Matt has worked with that some. You know, Matt just had one of his audio off of our YouTube channel, some audio that he recorded in Uwharrie, actually just made it on the History Channel. So
it has. Well, I
yeah,
just had Matt on the show
yeah.
about a month ago. Matt came on the show. We talked about that. That was a fun show, actually.
Yep.
Yeah. Man, well, we have so many questions in the chat right now. Like, I mean, I know I have a lot more to talk to you guys about, but I figure maybe I'll ask a couple of these questions before we go further. Adolf is a friend of mine out of California, and he's actually had a documentary made about him and his friends, where they had gone camping. I want to say it was around the Sierra Mountains, if I'm not mistaken, in California, and they had a possible ET abduction that happened with Bigfoot involved. And that's kind of like where I was going with all this, is like there's an ET connection to a lot of these Bigfoot encounters. Okay. And that's the same all over the world, I think. But he said, Adolf is asking, any idea on how old a Bigfoot stops reproducing for kids, like with kids? I don't even know how old a Bigfoot gets, Adolf. Okay.
Yeah.
They could probably reproduce. The men could probably reproduce for hundreds of years, probably, if they're that old. I mean,
all I know is the picture that I have of a female with a baby on the hip. Jessica, you've seen it. Ed, seen it.
Yes.
That baby has certain specific eye bands. He looks like a panda almost. And he's an adult now. That's Matthew. That's what I call Matthew. And I know that he was in human age, he would have been a toddler, you know, still on his mama's hip, you know, walking through Food Lion. And that was in 2007. And now he is the adult male of the group. And another one of my research friends has a picture of his mate and has the baby riding on the back. And it's a Ed's seen the picture. You've seen the picture. I've showed it to you.
I have.
And it's within, you know, 200 yards or less from where the original picture of Matthew come from. And then back in Ed was with me during the hurricane, when I actually got 69 minutes of video of Matthew leaned up against a tree watching us.
Yeah, that's what Matthew, because we were out there during Hurricane Matthew.
So that's how he got that nickname.
Oh my goodness. You know, my dog was born during a hurricane as well. And Freya. And so, wow, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Maybe y'all told me, I just forgot. But that's wonderful. That's how you remember his name.
Yeah, everything I do has nicknames. So,
Yeah.
Water in his Fort Goldfish life.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Matt Huber is in the chat, y'all. Here he is right here. I pulled him up on screen. What's up, Matt? Thank you for being here. I appreciate that. We have another question from Patriot Starfighter. How many generations of Bigfoots have been born here on Earth over what amount of time? That question, I don't know if we can answer that. I don't know. Somebody in the chat had asked about Esau. You know, Esau from the Bible. Okay. You know, I had my buddy Doc Brown came on the show. We talked about the Epic of Esau. And some people do have a biblical perspective on Bigfoot. Okay. And I don't know. What do you think, David? I know that you've got your opinions on it and your ideas. Do you think that there could be some sort of a connection there?
My personal opinion, the flesh and blood Bigfoot, you know, I think they were on the ark with all the other animals. God saved them. They're a part of they're a part of nature. They're no different. To me, they're no different than a bear or elk or, you know, any other animal in the forest. This other thing out there, you know, that may be of the fallen angels, Nephilim. You know, to me, there's good and there's bad. There's evil and there's good. And Bigfoot would, to me, is in the good. He is a product of, in my belief, he's a product of God. He's a creation of God the Almighty. This other stuff is angelic. It's demonic. And are they, you know, the devil can't create anything, but he can pervert what God created. So there's where you come into the manipulation of DNA and that type of stuff. And the angels, even the dark angels, the bad angels have that same knowledge to be able to do that. And that would be my way, the only way of saying that, yeah, there's a flesh and blood Bigfoot, and then there's something that's been altered.
Yeah. Ed, I know you've been doing this research yourself for a long time too. What do you have an opinion on that? Like, what are your thoughts on it?
I still have yet to meet a Bigfoot, so
Yeah.
I'm sticking in there, trying real hard. But you hear the stories about the Native Americans encountering them, and so there's certainly generations of them.
Mm-hmm. I think so too. Max Life Love and Learning. Hey Max, I wonder if AI tech will help us find and be able to communicate directly with Bigfoot soon. How cool would that be, right? I mean, I guess so. I don't know. My team was actually, my original team was all trained in remote viewing so that we could telepathically communicate with Bigfoots. That was one of the reasons we got trained in that. And that's old school, y'all. That goes back to the beginning of time. So telepathy, that is.
With AI, it has to have the base knowledge put into. I'm not a whiz. Ed's more of the computer guy. I'm old school, paper and pencil. But AI still has to have the base data to go from to create something. So if we don't have the Bigfoot data, we don't. The government may. Maybe it'd work that way, but if we don't know enough about it. In my opinion, we don't know enough about it for AI to help. It would confuse it a lot. Your thoughts, Ed?
Well, AI, you can put in fake data too. So, big thing in business with AI is cleansing your data, making sure that you have great data integrity and that you have governance around your data so that you get good, clean answers with it. So, if you feed it bad data or fake data, you can influence it.
Mm-hmm. We actually have a friend of the channel, Sovereign Cosmic Wildman. I don't see him in here tonight. He's probably working tonight, but he likes to add the word, I hate to say this out loud, but fart. Okay. To try to change the algorithm. It is the funniest thing every time he makes a comment, because he's like, I think he thinks it's going to change the algorithm maybe in some way if he uses that word enough. And it's actually kind of like Wikipedia is a good example for that, Ed. It's like, it's got this information on the internet, but anybody can go in there and change it, and so it's not like probably the most foolproof information source on things, because anybody can go and change it at any time, and it can be wrong. It can be wrong. So I'm team human, not team robot, by the way. Okay. Team human. But okay. We have a question from Brent Watley. Do you think that if all the deforestation continues, will this make Bigfoot more aggressive or make them more reclusive, making research even more difficult? What do y'all think?
Both.
Yeah.
I've been to areas where the Bigfoot are more aggressive. And then you go to other areas and it's all you can do to find them. One will be standing right beside you. If you didn't have the thermal technology, you would never know it was there. And sometimes in those encounters where someone had night vision, it was close enough to the researcher that he thought that the IR was blinding him. The Bigfoot was less than 3 foot away from him and never moved. He thought a tree was blinding him, so he would quickly scan past the tree and continue looking in the forest. When what he was actually looking for was standing right in front of him. But in other areas, you'd never even get that close because they would drive you away with either infrasound or they'd start chunking rocks at you so hard that you leave. And there's been areas that I've been to that you get that feeling this time to get out of this specific spot. We're going to, let's go somewhere else. And they can, that's that fight or flight. feeling, and most of the time your legs start moving before your mind decides to move.
Oh yeah, David, okay? Something that I find really cool is that you are. I know this. You're colorblind, right? And that's okay. I guess it's okay to talk about, right?
Yeah.
You're colorblind, and it actually, I feel like that gives you an edge out there. And I'm only going to say that because I feel like it does, because you're able to see things that we can't see out there. And you think it'd be the opposite because you're not seeing the same spectrum that people that don't have color blindness see. But I think that as far as the Bigfoot field research goes, I think you see more than we see.
Yeah, a lot of times. I mean, Ed had an experience with it sitting around the fire this past weekend. I was calling something blue and it was actually green. But when I look out through the forest, I only see 1 or 2 shades of green. A normal colored person sees all these different variations of green and shades, and I don't see that. So an animal or something that's, if somebody's in camouflage out in the woods, y'all won't see them. A normal vision person most of the time will not see, because they blend in with all the foliage. I look out there and all I see is like a green blob, because I'm only seeing 1 shade, 1 shade of green or brown. I don't see red, I see brown. I still have the same range, but my colors are completely different than yours. And I see stuff. A deer walks out, it's not blending in with the environment. It just sticks out like a sore thumb. Same way with, squatches.
Two commercial implementations. There's a brand of sunglasses that you can buy that'll help you find your golf balls out on the fairways and in the rough. So you put on your sunglasses and the golf balls stand out, very brightly. And then I just saw recently there's another commercial application where someone made sunglasses to help them find mushrooms in the woods. And as a side effect, it also helps them find sheds, deer sheds, deer antlers shed each fall. So I've been thinking about getting some of those sunglasses to help find some deer sheds.
Oh man, I bet all the college kids are going to want those. Just saying.
Yeah, deer sheds stick out like a sore thumb to me. We found one in one of our research areas. You were with me when I found that. I said, "Dude, look," and you didn't know what I was getting, and it was a deer shed. Remember that, Jessica?
Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely. And I think that's great. I thought it was always cool just to have glasses that were, what does it call it, oxidized, whatever you can see in the water, under the water. And I always had those when I was growing up, because I lived on a lake. You can see the fish in the water, but now it's like so much more advanced. You can see other stuff with these lenses. I love that. Well, I've actually done shows on like the dicyanin dye goggles that our military used back in Vietnam is a good example of that. They gave these dicyanin dye goggles. They're actually interdimensional viewing technology. And whatever this dye is, it allowed the people who wore them to see into other dimensions. So I don't know who the genius was to give them to the gunners on the back of helicopters. But they gave them to the gunners, and the gunners started seeing demons flying up next to the helicopters. And they started shooting at the friendly helicopters beside them. They said they were seeing piles of dead bodies on the ground that weren't there, that the other people couldn't see. I'm not saying they weren't there, just nobody else could see them. Right. So our government, I know I hate to say our government, but like agencies, government, whatever, militaries, they have access to all this technology. You know what I mean? And us normal people don't. All right. Or you can buy those dicyanin dye goggles, but they're not the same military grade as our military.
That's why your modern night vision that's available to the civilian market and the military is green.
Yeah.
The base color is green background. The stuff that you're talking about was in red. When you looked out there, it was when you looked through it didn't have a green tint, it had a red tint.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Listen, you know what? That show that I did on those military dicyanin dye goggles is the highest watched show on my entire YouTube channel. So there is a definite interest in that. Or maybe I just hit an algorithm. I don't know. But we do have another question from Scott. Thank you, Scott. Do Bigfoot dig graves for their own? What do y'all think? I know we talked about the root balls, but where do Bigfoots go when they die?
I think, my opinion, they're cannibalistic. They consume their dead. That's why we don't find anything.
Consume their
They
dead?
don't waste any protein. They consume their dead. That's my opinion.
Oh man, I wasn't expecting that answer.
And I've heard
What?
Stories of that happening.
Oh man.
I don't know what Ed would think about it, but that's
Yeah.
I haven't heard
Ed,
about
what do
that,
you
but
think?
it makes sense.
Yeah. Well, with the whole thing with I know it was that Bugs guy from the Art Bill show I'd mentioned earlier. He said that he buried 2 Bigfoots, but that was a human burying them. And that is a typical question I get a lot. Like, where do they go when they die? Like, why have we never found any Bigfoot bodies in the wild? Well, like, I haven't come across a bear body in the wild. Okay. And I don't know. Some people think that maybe they go into another dimension before they die and stuff. So, but consuming them, man, that's wild. Could be.
I mean, and it's there's other examples of it in nature, and there's human tribes. It's kind of gotten away from, but they would eat there's human tribes that would eat the fallen enemies, and they were cannibals. But there's certain that if you eat the body, then the certain tribes, if you eat your loved one's body, then that loved one really is not dead. It just carries on in all of the rest of you,
Listen, I only will drink from the skull of my enemies. Okay. I will not eat them though.
You're hardcore, Jessica.
I will only drink the tears of my enemies through their own skulls, but I will not eat them. Okay.
Ed, we got to get her a knife.
Got one for
Oh man, y'all. If the audience can't tell, we do have fun in the woods. Okay. We have a good time going Bigfooting and stuff. And yes, I would drink from the skull of my enemies. And I have a lot of enemies these days, man. I didn't think I had so many until recently. But anyways, let's move on. Oh, sorry. I just put that comment down. I didn't mean to. What are some examples of the Bigfoot ET connection? Someone was just asking that. I'm so sorry. I lost your comment when I hit that button. I always tell my audience I always say what we used to tell us: all roads lead back to ET. And so someone in the audience is wondering, like, what are some examples of that? Well, a lot of times when I'm out in the field, this is my personal experience. When I'm out in the field and we're having Bigfoot activity, there will be UFOs flying over our heads, low flying UFOs sometimes. Missing time too, right, Ed?
The X Factor lectures, right?
Yeah. X Factor.
Yeah.
What is the X Factor to you, Ed?
Well, that's what Ron Moorhead and Lee about a decade ago were out in North Georgia at what was the guy's name? The Midnight Walker.
Alex Midnight Walker. Were you there too? I was there.
I was there.
I didn't meet you. I'll be darned. We probably met back then. I didn't even know it.
Yeah, and they were talking about the X Factor, and they were talking about, Ron Moorhead was talking about the orbs flying around and buzzing them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you were there, you saw the presentation by Jim Vieira.
Oh, I love Jim Vieira. He and his brother John, I think his name's John. They had a whole series on the History Channel on the lost giants of America.
Yeah.
And
double rows of teeth, 6 fingers, 6 toes.
Yes, that was the first Bigfoot conference I ever went to, actually, because I had gone out in the field with Alex Midnight Walker and them on my first expedition. Yeah.
Yeah, mine too. That was very interesting presentation from Jim. And it goes to you ask about where the bodies go. Well, Jim's whole thing was showing the microfiche pictures from old newspapers about finding these large, gigantic skeletons, right? And then the Smithsonian would come in and scoop them up and take them away.
Smithsonian, damn it, those bastards. Yes. Yeah. Well, and also, okay, so not only was Ron Moorhead there, and I love Ron, know him, he's a friend of mine. But R. Scott Nelson was at that conference too. I mean, they had some headliners there. Man, R. Scott Nelson is actually a linguist, was the military. He used to be, and he took the Bigfoot language from the Sierra Sounds and found pulled out all the phonemes and stuff of it and saw that there's clearly a language with these Bigfoots, an intelligent language, like archaic Japanese, different dialects of Native American, languages, and English and French and Spanish and all these. It was just weird. That's wild. I mean, that, yeah.
Do you remember Dr.
that?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Ed.
Do you remember seeing Dr. Johnson at that conference?
I don't remember Dr. Johnson. I don't know who that is.
He was the great big guy in the audience. He was and then he come up, and he's out in Seattle. He's all about them coming from a different universe or a different reality, and helping them cross over from their decaying world to ours.
Like interdimensional kind of. Dang, I don't remember meeting him. I was so starstruck by just Ron Moorhead and R. Scott Nelson and Jim Vieira. And it was mind blowing. That was the first Bigfoot conference I ever went to. That's when I met Trey there. Trey actually from ASOG. And that was the first time we met him. And then he joined our team after that. And then I think that was the first time I ever met Bob Grumpy Wilson as well. There were a lot. That was a great conference, man. And so I'm always telling the audience, you guys, if you ever get a chance to go to a Bigfoot conference or an event, please go. It's a great place to go meet people. You never know what you're going to learn. And the first one I went to, I met some of the biggest heavy hitters in the Bigfoot community. And dang it, Ed, I don't remember ever meeting you there at that one. But, we were there. Dang it. Oh, yeah. Well.
Dave Moser was with us at that conference.
Moser, I remember meeting Moser there. I do remember him. But yeah.
I'll share next time. Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely, man. It is just wild. But the giants, I've always wondered, are people getting giants and Bigfoots? I mean, I think they're two totally separate entities, right? Bigfoots and giants, but there's some gray area there when it comes to Cherokee legends, for instance. You guys live up in North Carolina, and one of my favorite stories of a giant / Bigfoot is Judaculla Sukaloo up there. And the Judaculla, I've been to Judaculla Rock, but Sukaloo, some people think that's a giant. Other people say it's a Bigfoot. Are you guys familiar with that? And what do y'all think about that? What's your opinion?
I've been to the Rock too. My daughter went to college out at Western Carolina. So we would go visit that every once in a while. It's a very interesting story.
He had a human girlfriend.
Yeah, there's some people think it was about UFOs too.
Yeah, I was with Chief David up there. He said that they're from the stars. He was a Cherokee medicine man, and I think that's a Palladian connection, if I'm not mistaken. And that's kind of what the petroglyphs on this gigantic rock. And if y'all aren't familiar with this, the audience isn't familiar. It has a ton of petroglyphs on it, and it's almost like a Star Wars creation story or something. I don't even know.
Yeah,
okay, but yeah. But anyways, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I think there's a gray area kind of. There's even a place down in South Georgia called the Okefenokee Swamp. There's a famous massacre. Let's just call it a massacre there were 5 men that got massacred by a giant out of the Okefenokee Swamp in 1829. And the story goes, how it's told by most people, that was a Bigfoot. But I think it was a giant human. I don't know. You guys have almost just as many giant human reports up there historically as you do Bigfoot reports, I think, from what I understand. But I don't know. David, what do you think? Have you ever run into giant humans out there?
No.
No, just biggies?
But I think a lot of it is one and the same. They see it walking upright like a human. It's a man. And then, it's reported as a huge man but I think they're one and the same. You could
Mhm.
look at it. But, you're going back to the Bigfoot being able to communicate.
Yeah.
Several occasions I've heard them in the woods having a conversation with each other. And it's just like listening to two Japanese men having a conversation. And it's so distinct between one voice and the next. And one night it was after having Bigfoot activity all night long. I mean, from 6 o'clock in the afternoon to 6 o'clock in the morning. And as the sun come up, they were done messing with the humans and they walked away. And it was like they were, just like everybody leaving a factory, everybody has a little short conversation before they part their ways. These guys were having a conversation with each other as they walked. And we heard it till they got out of earshot, till you couldn't hear them anymore. And they were discussing the night's events.
Yeah, I hate that with you guys.
Do what?
I hate that I missed that one with you guys.
Yeah, it's like that's where I got that connection with them, and they're almost human, but they're not. I don't even call them apes. I think they're more closer to dogs or wolves.
Whoa, dogs or wolves?
Yeah, I don't think they're ape. I don't think they're not human. They're not. I don't think they're apes. The ones I've seen, they have a human appearance, but after that, and if you look at the structure of a dog's hind leg and you deform it, there comes your big foot. If you drop that last leg bone, whatever you want to call it, down, it's just the way my brain works when I've been out there with them. I get a feeling of canine for some reason. And Bob Wilson, I think, is the only other one. Me and him sit around a fire one night, and we talked about it. He's the only other one that thought about them the same way I did.
Oh my gosh,
And
that is fascinating.
And you probably heard Bob talk about it.
Yeah.
Their canine.
I heard him talk about that, but then I was in my mind, there's such a hot topic online, especially with the dog men and all these dog man sightings people are having right now and over the past recent years. But when I first got into Bigfooting, we didn't ever heard about dog men. That wasn't even a thing really when I first started doing my Bigfoot field research. We didn't hear about that often. Now today it's like that's a hot thing. Okay, everybody's having dogman sightings now.
And I go back to one of the daytime sightings that I've had. There's been very few of them. I had the one when I was 16, and then I've had 2 or 3 more, just fleeting glimpses of them in the daytime. And one of them was clearly what is the Egyptian god, the
Anubis. Anubis.
He's a jackal. That's exactly what run from one tree to the next. It looked like it was pretty skinny, but its head, it had a snout just like a dog, like a German Shepherd, but it had a long mane that was built. The look of it, it looked just like that big head on that Egyptian goddess. That's what it looked like when it ran from one tree to the next.
Wow. There's so many different types of dogmen too. Of course, this is from the North American Dogman Project. This is one of their old charts, I guess you call it. And my buddy William Nighthawk had just posted a picture this week of a all black dog looking creature that had these high ears, like these long ears, just like Anubis, like you're describing in the woods somewhere. That was the old picture. I remember seeing it from a while back. But gosh, that's interesting because with all the research and all the interviews that I've been doing, I feel like they're 2 separate entities, right? But I don't know. I really don't know. But I think that there's dogmen and I think there's Bigfoots, but I don't know. I mean, I've even heard of them being seen together, like dogmen and Bigfoots being seen together in the same vicinity. And there's a hole of the rabbit hole of like, are they government made? Like, are they being cloned and created in labs, or are they natural, just like Bigfoots? I don't know. It's like I said, we could be here all night talking about rabbit holes and stuff.
Yeah,
diving down the rabbit holes with that.
I do know that in Uwharrie, which is I have the most experience in Uwharrie, 20 some years going there. I have seen both of them with a flatter looking face, like a bulldog, and I've seen them with the sharp nose, the sharper face. And they're grotesque looking up close. They're deformed. They're ugly.
A Bigfoot?
Yeah. All these depictions you see of Bigfoot on T-shirts and stuff like that, in my experience, they look nothing like that. I won't even buy a T-shirt like that because of what it looks like. It doesn't.
Oh my gosh!
It does not interpret what they look like in the least little bit.
We have Terry Windell in the chat. What's up, Terry Windell? Rock Hill Bigfoot. It's so good to see you. Thank you for being here. He said, I remember hearing the samurai chatter on one outing with David. It was so clear. I thought someone was playing a recording of it.
Yep, I remember that night.
Wow.
That's the same area where the one come up and knocked on my truck window.
Really?
Yeah, and I got a eyeball to eyeball with him. And then the next weekend I went, I called Ed and said, hey, I need a wingman. And Ed went down there with me.
Brought some security.
Yeah, security. Ed's got bad knees. I can outrun him.
Oh, no, Ed. You better watch your back around David. Okay. Lord have mercy. David, I wanted to go back to that statement you made about them looking distorted or like having a weird look about them, because I've had more than one person who has been a guest on my show that said that when they saw one close up, face to face, it looked like a human with Down syndrome.
Down syndrome. I was getting ready to say that.
Is that what you saw too?
Yeah, it's not the same exact, but it's distorted enough that something's. It's weird, and all of them's different. Every single one of them. I've never seen the face of one. All of them that I've been able to see the face. They're all different. They're all. You can distinguish the individuals. It's no type, but they're all the same, but they're different. I don't know how to explain it. They look like, some of them look like trolls. I'm not trolls, but gargoyles that you see on the old castles. The distorted faces. Some of them look, and some of them have pasty white faces.
Well, there's that one drawing that came out of the LBL, I think. Maybe Barton. I think Barton Unley drew that, if I'm not mistaken. But it looks like a bat. I'm going to call it a bat squatch or something. And that's how they're described sometimes too, as having a bat-like face. Yeah. So it makes me wonder, like, like I said, there's multiple people who have come on my show and said that they saw what they thought looked like a human, but it was like a Bigfoot with like Down syndrome or whatever. And it just makes me wonder, like, I know there's all different types of Bigfoots. And the ones that you've seen have a muzzle on them as well. And I'll show you this chart that I have. I have a lot of charts. Okay. And it's not to say that all Bigfoots look like this. Okay. But there are 4 categories that we use as researchers, especially on podcast researchers.
Podcast. The one on the B, type B, down on the left, a type 2. That's pretty close.
That's close. Well, like the type A at the top, the type 4, that would be like a Neanderthal human, like a wild man, right? Yeah. It looks more human. The type 3 are the ones that have the long muzzle that people say look like dog men. They're a little more violent, they say. The Genosquas, the Gugways, that's the type 3. And of course, the type 1 actually would be like a more patty type. The type 2, like you just referred to, would be like a more ape-like. That's like for the aper crowd right there. Okay.
It's weird. It's you look at it, it's like looking at a bulldog, a lot of them. But they have a really wide nose, really wide, that goes from one edge of the. I took a report, and it was near Troy, which is close to Uwharrie.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a girl who was on the run from the law. So she was living in the woods in a tent, and she had friends that were bringing her provisions. She had a cooler, and people would bring her stuff. And her stuff kept getting missing from her camp, her food. And that was all she had, was what her friends would bring her, because she couldn't show her face in town. They'd pick her up. She was going to jail. She had warrants out for her. And this girl, I mean, when she told me the story, when I took the report and I talked to her, you could see the hair on her arm raised up as she relived it. When she was telling me the story, her hair on her arm, she actually was reliving it as she was telling me the story. And she said that she started paying attention, and at night she would hear something messing around her camp. So this one night she was bound and determined to catch who was stealing her food. And her first thought was, there's somebody else out here in the woods that's living just like her, on the run from the law, and they're stealing her food so they can survive. She said she thought she was dealing with a human. And this one night she got in her tent just like she always did. And instead of zipping it up, she left a flap open to where she could spring out without making any noise and confront this person stealing her food. And so this night, she made the report, and she's telling me about it, that she hopped out with a flashlight right in its face. And she said it was the most hideous thing she'd ever seen in her life. She'd never seen a horror movie of something that was so hideous looking. She said it was surprised, it was scared, and it took off running in the forest. She immediately got on her little cell phone. This was a little flip phone. She called her friend.
I thought she called the cops to go turn herself in at that point.
Well, she called her friend and went left
get me.
there and went directly to the police department and turned herself in. Said she'd never spend another night in the woods.
How did I guess? I mean, that's wild. That Bigfoot made her turn herself in, man.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
She was actually terrified of it. She said she'd never seen nothing in a horror movie that was so hideous looking. It was so deformed, the face, and it had a surprised look on his face. And she said we were there face to face for a couple seconds. She said I got a really, really good look at it, and it was hideous. And that's, what I've seen is they're not pretty. They're not. It's like, Hollywood makes them out to be.
Not Harry and the Hendersons, huh?
No.
Well, okay. Well, in my opinion, there's probably some inbreeding going on.
Oh yeah, that's where you get the different digits in their feet. You get 3-toed and 6-toed and all these different digits. Inbreeding in humans, when that happens,
you get facial features.
Yeah, but one of the very first deformities to start showing up is the digits of the hands and the feet.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know, man. That's wild. I mean, I could imagine that lady that was in the woods that came face to face with that, she must be very brave, actually, to go out in those woods. I mean, it is not safe to go out there by yourself, by any means, especially for females. I'm just saying, I'm a female, I'm a tough woman, but I do not want to go out there and go camping by myself.
Well, she's like, 90% of the population has no idea what is in the woods. And
True.
It's not just Bigfoot out there. Mom and Daddy lied to us when they said there was no such thing as boogers. Right? There's stuff in the woods, and there's stuff besides Bigfoot that will get you. And when you go to the woods, you are very low on the totem pole. There's, all kind of stuff out there. And then there's this other stuff we're running into that you wouldn't even know it got you.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because what all have you experienced out there in those North Carolina woods? I mean, to both of y'all, Ed, I want to hear from you too about this. But David, you have come on the show before. We've talked about a reptilian in your backyard. For the audience, if you're not familiar with the Meadow Project, we've been on the same team for a while. David and I go out to the Meadow. We used to. We hadn't been there in a while, but But David, you're the one that spotted that apparition that has been called a portal from here on out, that cube thing that showed up. You have a lot of experience under your belt with this stuff, and you've seen some weird stuff. Okay, but what else have you seen other than you got the little people, the feline humanoids, the Bigfoots? What else have you experienced?
Probably the first weird thing that ever really happened to me was with David Moser. I think Ed was with us on this trip. And we were going to an area. I showed you where it happened. Something run past us at a high rate of speed. And I had night vision. I actually thought we had kicked a rabbit up. And I was going to try to find the rabbit with the night vision. And I couldn't. Whatever run past us was at a high rate of speed. And so we went back. David Moser actually got the film. You can go to his YouTube channel. He actually has that up still.
Yeah.
The breakdown of it. But this thing run past us so fast that the thermal that we were using could not lock onto the heat signature, and it looks transparent. And it runs from one. Yeah, I think you have. But
I've seen it.
It runs from one tree to the next, and Ed went back with Moser and tried to recreate it, and there was no way they could even come close.
Yeah,
2 or 3 people tried to recreate it, but I think Ed, you were one of the runners, right?
Yeah, I went down there. I was there. I was talking to Dave when he cut the original video. I was right there in line with you guys.
Yep.
I think Jim Chernisky was down there with us too. And Dave and I went down and tried to recreate it. And I think Dave went down with Ricky Wingent and tried to recreate it. And, that's when Dave and I went down and took the measurements, and Ricky Wingent went down. And he was jumping and doing the running.
Yep.
You didn't run with your knees?
No, not me.
I couldn't remember who done the running, but
yeah,
we went back and tried to recreate it, and there's no way coming close.
It was like a blur, because I remember seeing that. It literally was like a blur going from tree to tree.
Yep. And I've looked at that video 1,000 times, and it has, to me, either a mane on its back, and it looks a lot like the one that run between the 2 trees. That, to me, what I see, it looks a lot like what I seen run between 2 trees.
Now, David, go back and look at that video and look in the foreground on the ground, and you'll see your rabbit.
Is he there? I'll have to go back and look at it, but I thought we had kicked a rabbit up. You hear, I thought it was a rabbit, but it was actually that thing running.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. Ed, what all have you experienced out in the woods? I know you've seen some weird stuff too, right? Anything other than what we talked about?
No, other than bears and bobcats. Now, bobcat in the woods making its screech, that is scary.
It sounds like a woman screaming.
Yeah, and I've been in the woods with fox when foxes are out there doing their mating calls, and that's a real high screech sound too. Very scary.
Well, you guys are in the heart of Cherokee folklore, legends, and lore. The Appalachians up in North Carolina. Have you guys ever come across, I hate to say this word, I'm going to say it one time and never again, skinwalkers? Either of you?
Not what I would call a skinwalker. Now, some of what we're experiencing may be skinwalkers, and we're just calling it something else, but no.
Yeah.
Now, what was the jogger? Who was it, Don or Lee? We're down.
Oh, the naked jogger?
What? Let's hear about that. Please tell me. A
We
naked
were
jogger? Do we need to hear about this on air?
it's pretty clean. It was just funny.
Okay. What happened? A naked jogger.
We're out there, lights out. That's how we go in the woods most of the time. We don't even use a red headlamp a lot of times. Once we get into where we are and our eyes adjust, we're totally blacked out. And the guys were down on the one trail, and this guy's running down the trail. He doesn't have a stitch of clothes on, and he's just jogging at night on the trail. and he comes face to face with the team. They had to turn the lights on or they'd run into each other. And this guy's butt naked, and so that's a pretty weird encounter.
I've never heard that before. I've heard of the barefoot running club, but not the bare butt running club.
Oh, he had a headlamp. This guy had a headlamp on, but he was just running through the woods naked. He was jogging naked. Didn't have a stitch of clothes on, other than tennis shoes.
Oh man. Okay. Well, that's so weird. I've never heard that story before. That's a new one.
Yeah, there's a bunch
Add
of
it
it.
to the list.
I've had so much stuff I've forgotten most of it. Just somebody reminds me of it. But
He was on a vision quest apparently, and probably had some fungi mushrooms involved with that. Probably. Who knows?
It might have been on that meth.
Oh man, y'all, we get to deal with a lot of weird stuff out in the woods. I'd rather run into a Bigfoot than a naked man. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, that would me. I would have just stepped to the side and let him pass by. So. But yeah,
Oh, what else are you gonna do? Good Lord!
I think that happened
That's
to
weird.
Don. I think it was Don. I think it's happened to a couple of people. Same guy. He's been spotted a couple times. But Don.
Did you guys see that? That's the MIB. Just kidding. The S Walker. It could be an S Walker too.
Yeah, that's an S Walker. That's about as closest to it as we've.
He just transformed back to human form. That's what I'd like to think.
Headlamp on and tennis shoes.
Yeah, a lot of skin.
Man, I did ask y'all. I did ask. It's my fault. I'm sorry.
Runner.
Oh man. Yeah. Well, oh my gosh. I lost my train of thought. I had some more questions, but now I can't remember what they were. Okay.
But out there we have had, and I have personally had encounters with UFOs while we're out Bigfooting. I mean, that's happened a number of times. Mm-hmm. Me and Ed, we were at the Meadow Project area, mm-hmm. and we seen what looked like a sun coming up, but in the wrong direction.
Yep.
That happened with Bob. Remember the Bob incident where he saw the moon, and it kind of like the aperture opened up and then it closed. It was just weird. It wasn't a moon.
This was in the same location. We were sitting almost where Bob was.
Yeah, we were in the truck. It was raining a lot.
Yeah, it was pouring down raining.
Oh yeah.
And this orange, it looked like the sun in behind a cloud. You know how the sun falls in behind a cloud and it's still bright, but you can't actually make out the sun itself. And it just went right across in front of us.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, I've rarely don't have any kind of ET or like UFO orb experiences when I'm out there in the woods too. Do you guys come across a lot of orbs out there in North Carolina?
Yeah, there's a bunch of orbs. I was at where we took you the first night we were out.
No.
I had a group of people on the other side of the hill down that power line, and they were leading me over the walkie-talkie to what they saw was an orb floating around in the campsite. And I got real close to it. I never saw it, but they were on the walkie and they were saying, "It's right there. Reach out and touch it." And I reached out and it went straight line out of the area.
Did you feel anything?
No, I didn't feel anything. I didn't see anything, but they were on the next hillside watching me and guiding me through, and they were tremendously excited about it.
Oh man, that's awesome. So they actually guided you to it and you could have reached out and grabbed it. But then again, you couldn't. I actually do have a picture of us we were sitting on a log. We had gone up a steep hill where we had gone hiking. Let's see. Oh, I have a picture of you guys hiking up this gigantic hill right there, by the way. That's y'all. Okay. I was the photographer of the trip. Okay. And did get some good pictures out there. I did want to show this too before of course, I don't want to keep y'all here all night. I know we're having ice storms. Okay. But I did want to show this. David, I spoke to a group of teenagers at the library a few months ago, and I made this slide because I wanted to show them this tree twist of yours. That it's not that it belongs to you, but I'm just saying it was up there in Uwharrie. And I love this picture. This is the best tree twist I've ever seen. Now, this was in Uwharrie, right?
Yeah.
Tell the audience about
I
this.
showed you the stump. This was an area that we researched, and we were there every weekend. I mean, every weekend, just about every available day off, I was in the woods. And it was not there. One weekend, we returned and it was there. There had been no storms. There had been no human activity, nothing. And the only thing that had changed about 2 years prior to that tree twist showing up, the Bigfoot used to mark when we go out into the forest and when we come back into our base camp. A lot of times the Bigfoot would mark a tree and they would twist it into what we called a looking glass. They would take a sapling, bend it over into a circular, and then tie itself back on it. So it looked like a lollipop or a looking glass, you know. So the forestry department had come in and cut down a dead tree, a woodmaker. And that tree landed on that tree twist. That marker that had been there about 2 years. And the very next weekend, this showed up. And more history to the area. The tree that was cut down by the forestry department, the stump that it left is the stump that Mike Green got to put. That's the stump that he used to put the Zagnut candy bar on to get that photo. That video of the Squatch coming up and getting the Zagnut candy bar. But all that activity is gone. They're not in there. If you have an encounter in an eye, it's by sheer luck.
That is by far the best tree twist I have ever seen. By far.
It was a live popular tree that had been twisted around about 13 times, the best we could tell, counting the twists. And it's from one edge of a splinter to the next, it was 6 foot. That's how big it is. It's right impressive.
Do you think it's a good idea to remove tree twists and things from the vicinity? Like whenever somebody we have a lot of Bigfoot field researchers in the chat tonight. Would you recommend to them removing those or leaving them alone if they find one out in the wild?
I'll leave them alone. That one was cut down and preserved. That one did leave from there. It's, as far as my knowledge, the other guy still has it. But it was cutting down. Actually, it was Matt Moneymaker when we were filming Finding Bigfoot. He wanted that in the show, and they run out of time. But we had, it was brought there. We was going to show the live, the what's left of it, the specimen. But for the most part, I leave this stuff alone. It's their property. It's not mine. It just shows me sign that they've been there, and all that signage is for them. I think that tree twist was a show of strength. They were mad that the humans had destroyed one of their markers, and in return they done something more aggressive. But I've found tree twisting, and since then nothing ever compared to that size. I've seen trees that have been twisted around another tree. Did Bigfoot do it? No, I don't know. I can't say he did. It would take hands. And the only other thing that I could even, because everything I find in the woods, I do everything I can to disprove that Bigfoot did it. And some of the stuff I can see a buck deer getting a sapling called up into his rack and then walking around another tree and twisting it up. I can see that happening whenever they're doing the rubs and stuff. I can see that happening. And some of them I've seen. I said, well, that a deer done that. But no, there's no way. If it was a deer, he's a state world record deer to twist that tree. Yeah.
I think that it was definitely a show of force. I think that's what I think. It's like stay out of my territory. Okay, I think it has a lot to do with territory.
And at that time, those Bigfoot in that area were never aggressive. And there was one time that I was looking at a juvenile one for probably 30 minutes. I got to watch this juvenile, and he would lean out from one tree and he'd go behind it and come out on the other side. He'd always touch the tree. That's one thing you'll notice about these. You spend enough time in the woods with them, they always have to touch something. It's like a security blanket. They'll touch a tree. When they lean out from something, they got their hands on it. And whether it's to keep them stable or what, but it's like a security blanket. I call it their security blanket.
Keeps them grounded.
We watched them so long, and you could tell it was a juvenile. It was small. And then here come this big one, huge, stomping up the hill. I showed you where that happened, where the little boy peed himself.
Oh, yeah.
And
that was kind of sad. He got scared.
That's one of the times that we did leave. But I wasn't going to leave, and one of the guys had some sound equipment. He just stood up, and another one of the investigators that was with us, he escorted the man and his son out. This was on an expedition down there. They took them back to camp. The little boy had had enough. The dad had had enough. They got their money's worth in the Bigfoot experience that night.
Yeah.
And so me and another guy, we were going to hang it out, wait on the other investigator to come back and go Bigfooting, because that's what we do. And this was shortly after a West Virginia trip where I had the fear of God put in me. But the adult that stomped up the hill come up within probably 6 foot of my back. And I never would turn and look at it. I got my eye on the juvenile one. And then the little boy, he yelled, I see it, I see it, I see it. Because we'd give him a thermal to look through to keep his mouth shut, right? Because he wouldn't stay quiet. So we'd just give him a thermal and said, if you see something, say something, right? And when he hit the top of the hill, he was staring at its chest, basically. And he said, I see it, I see it, I see it. And then he just pissed himself. But
oh, my gosh. Poor kid.
Yeah. And after they left, after the other investigator took them back to camp, because we're out in the woods, we're way out in the woods, and me and the other guy stayed up there. Well, we knew there was a juvenile one at the foot of the hill that we're looking at, and then there was a big one behind us. Never did get to lay eyes on it, but he was chunking rocks at us. And when the other investigator got back, before he got back, I'm sitting there in my chair and just enjoying the show, right? And all of a sudden, the other guy just stands up and starts winding up his equipment. And I said, you leaving? He said, yeah, don't you feel it? And I was like, yeah, I had that feeling 10 minutes ago, but I ain't getting run out of the woods again because I got run out in West Virginia. And I said, I'm sticking it out. He said, no, we're leaving. I said, okay. And I have a rule of thumb. My rule is if we're in the woods and it's a group of 10 of us, if one person decides it's time to leave, they've had enough, we all leave. I'm not going to subject somebody to what happened to me in West Virginia. I'll get you out of there if I have to do it by myself. And Ed will tell you, I don't leave nobody behind. If it's time to go, even if I don't want to go, I will take you out. I will make sure that you get safely out of the woods. And that one, that one was aggressive.
Yeah. Well, you go with your gut. You're very intuitive. Both of y'all are. Ed, you and David. Y'all are very intuitive, and y'all know when it's time to get out of there. Just like me, if I get a bad feeling too, I'll let you know. Because sometimes that'll save your life in a lot of instances. We have one. I'm going to pull up this comment. I know we're like I said, we're not going to try to stay here for 3 hours tonight like we did last weekend. I think it was last weekend. But let's see. Pappy Two Bear says, perhaps those bent and secured trees in some way manipulate the energy of that location to create a vortex or portal of some type. And I think that could be true too. We really don't know what these stick structures mean. Like, we really don't know. They're territory markers. Some people think that, like, when you find the tree bends and they're bent towards the ground, they're actually like acting as a battery of some sort as well. So I don't know. There's lots of interesting tree structures out at Uwharrie and around North Carolina as well. So I don't know. What do you think about that?
From my personal experience, and I only speak for myself, some of the structures out there, I think, represent, and I think I showed it on one of your past shows. You'll find sticks lined up on a log or on a rock, and it'll be a specific number, 4, 3, and it'll be elaborate sometimes. But it represents the individual Bigfoot in that group. I have seen that. I've seen it in Uwharrie a number of times. I've documented it, and it matches the number of Bigfoot that I know about. And some of them, when it were in a time, some of them were freshly made. I knew within an hour or two when they were made. And that goes back to my very first professional outing up in West Virginia, and we had an encounter with 3 Bigfoot up there, up close and personal, and they built a stick structure in between 2 groups of us. So we knew at the exact same time, the time when it was built, why it was built, what was going on, and I've built off of that knowledge, knowing why they do it. It represented all those 3 individuals that we were dealing with that night in a holler. And, you know, everybody else didn't think it was significant, but that stuck with me this whole 25 years. You know, it stuck with me that they're representing themselves in a way. It's their personal marker. There's 3 of us, and each one of these sticks, represents us. Some of the other stuff, the territorial markers, that tree twist, I would consider a territorial marker. Hey, look, I'm bigger and badder than you, and this is what I'm capable of doing. Some of the X's, and if you find enough of them, they always seem to mark an area of danger. Like if you're going down a trail and you find one on the left-hand side, if you go a little bit further down that trail, just 5 or 10 feet, you're all of a sudden going to be exposed to a long stretch that they could be seen. So they know that, hey, it's time to start hiding better. There's a danger spot coming up.
Yeah. I had someone that said, I was at a conference one time and there was a person that was speaking. I'm not going to say who it was, but they said that whenever you see an X structure, that means that's where they procreate. And I'm not laughing because I think it was kind of funny. So yeah, if this X is rocking, don't come and knocking. I'm just saying. But anyways, we really don't know. Okay, I'm just saying we really don't know, y'all. But anyways, it's all in good fun.
Every time I find something in the woods, I look back and it's in my library of my mind. Where else have I seen this? What was going on? What was the terrain? If you see enough of them and you find enough of them, they always seem to be, they make the same structures in the same type of terrain. If you find an intersection of a trail, a lot of times you'll find a teepee. They don't use the trails that much. They have their own trails that parallel our trails. And those sign markers, that's a good, place for people to look for sign, not right on the human trail. Get off the trail about 30 yards. And that's where you start finding this stuff. And it's their road markers to themselves. Hey, danger, or their trail's getting ready to turn to the left. And it's just their reminders that they don't make mistakes. We have stop signs. Some of that stuff is their stop sign or their danger sign or yield,
Yeah, yield, David ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Here comes Big Ed with his flashlight.
Yeah, I heard somebody recently say, I think it was Stacy Brown Jr. He was saying, he doesn't carry a weapon into the field because the best weapon against Bigfoot is a flashlight, he said. And I thought, man, that's the truth. Ain't that the truth, y'all? Yeah. Just turn your flashlight on and they'll take off.
That or a camera.
Ed, what's my number one rule when I go in Bigfoot woods? I have a source of light.
North
If
side,
it's not,
multiple sources of light, a stick and a knife.
yep, that's
Stick
it.
it in a pointy
That's all
stick.
I say.
Couple of pointy sticks. That's it. Man, this has been such a fantastic show tonight. Thank y'all so much for being here with me. I am just tickled both of y'all showed up tonight. Thank you so much. Ed, it was a surprise having you on here. And I'm so glad you're here. And David, it's always a pleasure as well having you here. I always ask my guests at the end of the show, what are your final thoughts tonight? Ed, what kind of advice would you give to my audience tonight? If they wanted to go out and go Bigfooting and stuff, what is some of your top words of advice for my audience?
Spend the time in the woods. I mean, it's the same thing I said when we were boots on the ground, right? You got to put the time in, spend the time in the woods. I've been doing it for over 10 years, and I'm still waiting for my Class A.
You'll get it. You'll definitely get it. Just go towards those X structures. But if they're rocking, don't go knocking. I'm just kidding. Oh my gosh. Ed, thank you so much for being here. And hold on, before we go to Dave, I want to say thank you to Precious Jim for that super sticker. That is so sweet of you. Thank you so much. And I appreciate your support. David, what is your final thought tonight? You got any words of advice for the audience?
On the subject of Bigfoot, and it goes with everything in life. Always be true to yourself and others. If you have an experience in the woods, a Bigfoot, you're lucky. You're one in a million. And don't add to the story. That story in itself, if it's nothing but Bigfoot walking across the path in front of you, is exceptional on its own grounds, its own merit right there. Don't add anything to it. That's keep this story true. Don't create more to it. Just keep it true.
Integrity
is everything in my book, and Ed can tell you and vouch for me. Integrity is everything for me. I will cut you off so fast. It's like, you got to keep it true.
That's right.
That goes back to Tadza. You got to keep it true.
Keep it true with Tatsa. That's right. Oh man, I tell you what, that's right. I mean, and as far as Bigfoot field researchers or any kind of cryptid field researchers, we are under the microscope when it comes to, it takes a lot of courage just to speak out and to talk about our research, but to show the evidence and all that kind of stuff. I mean, we are under scrutiny, with the masses, because the majority of the population doesn't even believe in Bigfoot. You know what I mean? And so it is of the utmost important to keep our integrity. And that's what I try to do here on the Cryptid Hunters channel, is to have the integrity, to bring the best of the best on my shows, y'all. And the people who are doing the real boots on the ground field research. And I hope you guys, Dave and Ed, please come back and hang out with me again.
Anytime.
Please do. I'll see y'all out in the woods again. We gotta plan another trip soon.
Come on up.
Okay. I'll be there. Yeah, y'all got to come down here too sometime. But
dogman hunt.
Yeah, we'll talk about the orbs you got to witness.
Oh yeah. I got some spots for dogmen too. So yeah, y'all come on down. I'll take you out. Okay. But David, tell everybody where they can find the Carolina Cryptid Field Research team online.
You can find us on YouTube, Carolina Cryptid Field Research at YouTube and Facebook. Matt Hooper handles all the Facebook stuff for the most part. I don't even have my own personal Facebook. Like I said, I'm a pencil and paper type of guy. Technology is not my cup of tea, but you can find us in the woods.
Oh,
bunch
gosh.
of people have found me in the woods. You'd be surprised.
We know where to find you. All right, hold on. I'm trying to type out cryptid. It keeps telling me I'm spelling cryptid wrong. And so it's messing with my head. CRYPT. That is not wrong. It kept telling me I was spelling it wrong. But Carolina Cryptid Field Research, y'all, on YouTube and on Facebook. Please go subscribe and go follow Matt, David, and Ed. And and we will be back. We'll have y'all back on soon. And do another. I love that boots on the ground segment we did last week. That was so wonderful. Thank y'all for doing that. Y'all are the first ones to ever do that. on my show. So, all right, everybody. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed the show tonight, and I hope you all learned a little something. And thank you. We had a wonderful crowd tonight, and I want to thank everybody who gave super stickers, and I want to thank all of my moderators as well. Y'all are the best. Please be safe out there, y'all. I know we've got an ice storm that's come swept across the southeastern U.S., and we will probably be affected by it tomorrow. And hopefully we will have a live show on Monday. As long as I have power, I'll be here on Monday with another show for you guys. So stay tuned, y'all. And Ed and David, please be safe out there. I know y'all got, we've got camping gear. Camping gear, we know how to survive. We got all the stuff we need to survive this thing if our power goes out. But I hope it doesn't. I hope it doesn't. Hope the power doesn't go out. I don't know. Y'all already know.
It's down to 16 degrees already here. So,
oh God.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's going to be in the single digits in Georgia tomorrow night, I think. So yeah. But anyways, y'all please stay safe out there and come back and see me. Everybody check in. Let's all make sure we're okay and everything. And I'll see y'all back here on Monday. Everybody have a wonderful night. And Ed, David, thank y'all again for being here. And please don't live in fear, y'all. I know we talk about some crazy stuff out there, but just keep your head on a swivel, live in awareness, not in fear, but have fun. Okay. And I will see you guys back here on Monday. All right. Bye, everybody.
Good night.